and thank you for your purchase of the Bishop Sleeve Blouse Morgana pattern by Scorn Clothing. My name is Erin, and I will be walking you through the pattern today. This pattern utilizes two different fabrics, shown here in gray and white. The neck, lower body, and sleeve cuffs are the stretch fabric, shown here in gray. The back, front, and the upper and lower sleeves, as well as the button strip, are all made out of a non-stretch woven fabric. For this tutorial, I've used a crepe. There's also a stabilizer strip. My patterns do not come with seam allowance, so you'll have to add your preferred seam allowance. I've linked a little YouTube short on my favorite way to do this up in the corner. On the lower body pattern piece and the back pattern piece, do not add seam allowance along the fold line. In this tutorial, you're going to see me use my serger almost exclusively for most of my seams. You do not need a serger to sew this pattern. Working with stretch material is often very scary for a lot of people. They think that you need a serger to work with stretch material, and the truth of the matter is that's a misnomer. You definitely don't now. It is definitely helpful. One of the big things that you're going to have to realize if you don't have a serger is the main body fabric, where I've used the crepe. Depending on the fabric that you've decided to use, you may need to finish the seams. My serger helps me finish these seams. That's about the only difference you're going to run into. As far as the stretch fabric, all of the instructions that I've given you, or will give you in this pattern, you'll be able to follow exactly to the exact same if you use a straight stitch on your sewing machine. Start by placing the upper and lower sleeve panels one over top of the other. We're going to match the side seams, pin or clip in place, and then sew. Inside the seam allowance on the upper sleeve panel, sew a basting stitch along the very top through the curve. This basting stitch should have starting and finishing threads left about 3 or 4 inches long. Now we're going to take our two sleeve cuff pieces and we're going to fold them in half across the direction of the stretch. Then we're going to pin or clip the two open ends opposite the fold. Now sew along where you have pinned or clipped. Unfold the back panel so that it's facing right side up. Then take the two front panels and place them right sides together over the back panel, aligning both the shoulder and the side seams. Pin along the shoulder and the side seams. Now sew along where you have pinned or clipped. Now we're going to insert the sleeve body into the body of the shirt. There's many ways to do this. All you have to remember is, as always, right sides together. My preferred method is to turn the sleeve body right sides out and then insert it into the body of the shirt facing the right side of the shirt. So the shirt would be kind of like wrong side out with the seams showing on the outside, and then you slip the sleeve body into the armhole of the body of the shirt. Starting at the armpit, work your way up both sides of the sleeve hole up to the shoulder, because remember our basting stitch is up there. What we're going to do, there's going to be some extra fabric on the sleeve body that's not going to quite match up with the armhole on our shirt body. So what we're going to do is when we get there, we're going to pull the little thread ends to kind of gather that area of the shoulder seam, and we're going to do that until it matches the size of the hole of the shoulder that we're fitting the sleeve body into. Then pin or clip in place. Always remember to tie off the ends of your basting stitch, otherwise your gathers won't stay. Now sew along where you have pinned or clipped. Now we're going to add the lower body of the shirt. Take the lower body panel and unfold it from its fold line. Then refold it the exact opposite way along the stretch. You should have a very long rectangle. Match the lower portion of the shirt body and the two open ends of the lower body panel right sides together. These two will not match. The lower body panel will be shorter than the upper body of the shirt. Start at the center and then create ever-closing gaps starting from each side. Match these and then pick the center and match them again and again and again until you have the whole thing clipped together. Now that it's time to sew these two together, before you go into this, you're going to need to stretch the panels as you sew. Don't overstretch, just enough to bring the upper body panels in line or flat with the lower body panel. Now, same as we did for the sleeve cap, we're going to run a basting stitch along the entire length of the bottom of both sleeves. Remember to leave those thread ends 3 or 4 inches long. Now pull on those thread ends to gather up the bottom of both sleeves. We're going to stop when you've got just enough space to comfortably get a hand through, maybe with a big cocktail ring. Always remember to tie off the ends of your basting stitch, otherwise your gathers won't stay. Returning to the sleeve cuffs, fold them in on themselves, encasing the seam that we've sewn. You should still have a tube, but one end will have a fold and the other will have two open sides. Match the sleeve cuff with the bottom of the sleeve body where the gathers are, right sides together. Pin or clip along the centers of the gaps. The same as when we match the lower body to the upper body on the shirt. The two will not match. We're going to need to stretch the sleeve cuff to fit the sleeve body. Take the neck panel and fold it lengthways along the stretch so that the two open ends are the long end and the fold end is the shorter. Starting from the center of the neck panel and the center of the back panel, clip or pin the two open ends of the neck panel to the neck opening of the body of the shirt. As always, right sides together. Now sew along where you have pinned or clipped. For each of the button strips, take the stabilizer strip and place it just inside the seam allowance to one side of the button strip. Press it down, then fold and continue to press so that the button strip fabric completely encases the stabilizer. Now take your button strips and place them right sides together along the open front of each side of the shirt. Pin or clip in place. Now sew along where you have pinned or clipped. Now is a really good time to press down any seam edges that you wish. I always at least do the front, and I recommend also doing the side seams on each of the sleeves. This bit is optional, but I highly recommend doing a top stitch down both of the button strips. So exciting, we're almost done. Now all we have to do is make the buttonholes and add the buttons. This portion is highly dependent on a lot of factors, like the amount of buttons you bought and the size of buttons that you bought, as well as how to operate buttonholing with your machine or whether or not you're doing it by hand. So definitely follow your machine's instructions and go with what you will for your spacing and size quantities, but this is exactly how I did it. I determined the size of my buttons and then I split the difference for what the spacing was going to be along the length of it. Then I did the buttonholes before I put on the buttons because I find that to be much easier because you can just mark through where you did the holes and then sew in each of the buttons individually. Now, I am not going to bore you with me hand sewing on each of my buttons. However, I do find it necessary to put in each of these sections for my videos so you can watch me speed up sew on one little button and then poof, all the buttons are done. Alright, there you go. Congrats, you did it. Go wear it out. Tell everybody I made this.